Hey guys, here we are, day 2 of just finishing out the layout and the grade for this new building. And I wanted to just do a video just to kind of show what I did, because a lot of people seem unclear on this on the internet and might as well just clear it up. So, give you an idea, I've got a string run all the way around the perimeter here of this graded area. You can see it relatively straight. This represents a 16 by 40 footprint. And what I've done is just done a basic hand grade out here to get this relatively flat to see where I'm at, to get a baseline. I got a laser set up here, and if you look at my previous video, I did the markup on these stakes, which you can see the lines there at the top, right there. Last night, I measured down 11 inches, which was I feel this is the highest spot of the yard, so I measured down 11 inches so I could run my string without it actually dragging across the ground here. You can see down here. So that's how I established a baseline. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to run a cross line across each one of these stakes to make an X in the middle once I'm pretty happy with the grade. But right here I have the receiver for the laser, and let me show you how I'm kind of getting an idea of where my high spots and my low spots are, so you can see. You're kind of feeling with your feet, but we go over here. That's my establishing point. I feel that this area here is my second to lowest spot in the yard, so you can notice that the laser's going crazy, so it senses it here. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of walk, and I'll kind of get an idea based on the audible to see if the ground is still the same height. So it's still pretty good there. Here I'm low, so you notice, there we go, it's starting to go down. Here's a little rut where the dogs have dug over the years. So if you hear that here, what I can do is lift up on it and get an idea. So that's only about an inch. So there'll be about an inch of dirt that needs to be put in here. Now, to determine how far it goes, obviously, just bring so we're good there. So basically just in this corner where there'll be a skid, need some dirt. Same thing here. It's looks like a little high here because I can't get her to beep anymore. So I could adjust that, move it down a little bit. Let's keep going. Pretty good here. Decent. Still dead on. So we know at this point here, which is about the 20-foot, 18-foot marker, and over there where we started, where those tools are, is the same height. So we got a pretty good equal grade. And what we'll do is in the middle, we'll just rake all this nice and flat, and I'll go through about every 2 feet, 3 feet in a perpendicular fashion and check the laser grade. See, up here we're not even getting a beep because we're too high. So if I tip back, I already know without having to press the tool into the ground that this is a little too high. So I'll probably take some of this dirt here and go put it over there in the low spot, and you kind of work it around. 16 by 40 is a kind of a large area to play with, but see how I'm not getting any audible sound this close to the laser, which means there's a little bit of a hump in the ground right here. Here, same thing, a little too high. If I tilt back, so I know I'm a little high here. Here we're getting closer to the sound. Now I'm at about the 35-foot mark, and I'm getting my sound again. So, and then here, back corner, we're 40 foot from the starting point. Got a good sound. Little high in here. Little high. So this has to come down a little bit. And to this corner here. Definitely a little high. Yep. So a little bit has to come out of here. I'll start putting it all over there in that low spot, and I'll start to come back at the laser at an X. Get an idea. So this is what you're going to do with your laser. You'll kind of work it around, and then for a shed, At least the way I feel about this is with a shed, I'm thinking every 3 feet, I'll go back at a perpendicular fashion, because the skids are going to run long ways, and make sure that we're pretty good and level, and that should stop any sagging and give it a good support. So I definitely know that in this center area, in this area here, I'm definitely a little bit high, so I'll start taking some of that dirt and bringing it around. Let's go down this side. So you'll notice it's just this big belly here where kind of the laser's sitting. So using a laser, I think a lot of people think that, and at least I did too, that you had to get that laser exactly level with the ground in order to start using it, but that's what this tool's used for here. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of how to use one of these things. I know the sound is kind of annoying after a while, but definitely useful. The way they have, there's the building that was sitting there. The way they have this now, it's just temporary, but you could see why you want a good flat surface. Look at this area here where this ground slopes down real bad. Skids aren't on any support here all the way through the center. So what that'll do over time, even though it's a pretty sound building, is it'll cause a sag in the whole building. You can't put a lot of weight on there, and the floor kind of feels like a rebound, like a trampoline. You come back here, you'll notice that it's connecting to the ground. So if this were going to be the final spot for this building, same thing would have to occur as is on the other side, but a lot more dirt would have to be added, or you'd have to have a machine to kind of pull all this dirt and move it back. But then you got to pay attention to flooding, so that's a concern as well. So I know up here on this side of the yard, it's a lot higher ground, a lot flatter ground, and even though the laser picks up maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches of variation, that's enough variation over time to make any building kind of get a little wonky. So a little more groundwork out here and should be good to go. This is the tool I'm using to do this with. This is all stuff you can get at Lowe's. If you're doing any groundwork, definitely invest in one of these. This is a dirt rake. It does a really good job at moving a good amount of earth at a time and keeping things relatively flat. So you just do even pulls like this, and then when you're done, obviously just flip her upside down. You get a nice flat surface. And then what I was doing for some of the areas where I had to amend the soil and get a lot of dirt out of the way and dig it out, just use this Tamper. You can get this at Lowe's for about 30 bucks too. And what this will do is when you're digging big holes out, you just give them a good tamp and it'll flatten out your ground pretty good. And then you go back through and you can rake it one more time to clean up the edge. So kind of a long-winded video, but hopefully this helps somebody. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's done it better, has different ways of doing it. This to me makes the most sense. It's the most practical, requires the least amount of tools, except for a laser, obviously. You're gonna wanna invest in one of those. And then the final step again would be to just run an X line all the way across from corner to corner. Since this is a pretty big area, I'm gonna do 2 X's, and that'll give me a nice final line to use to walk on to kind of measure. So all right, hope this helps somebody. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Thanks.